All right, we started today with a new problem solving strategy, and it was using a picture or a drawing or a sketch. So we started off with just you listening to the story. I had a ball, I dropped it at from 128 feet, and all you knew is that every time it bounced, it came up half of the height of the distance before. And I asked how far will it have traveled when it strikes the ground for the fifth time. And before you had your sketch, a lot of you just started thinking, oh, I'm going to add 128, 64, 32, 16, and 8. But what you found out through some discussion and looking at your pictures is that after it goes down, it has to go up and down, up and down, up and down, whoops, and up and down. So you ended up seeing that you need to add each of these distances twice, and then we got the right idea. All right, and it was 368 feet altogether, and the sketch really helped you see and process the problem. I reminded you about a quiz you have next class, and we checked your homework, and then we talked about the kind of mathematics you would do to plan a party. You'd have to figure out how many things you need, like pizzas, and the price of each, and you'd have to use some multiplication to find that cost. And then once you've decided on all the items and how many of them you need, and you've multiplied to find all those totals, you have to add all those amounts to get your total cost. And then if you're sharing the cost with some other people, you might divide by the number of people who are planning the party together. So we had the situation that Carmen and three of her friends are organizing a party, and with paper and pencil and your calculators, you had to find the cost of the first 6 items, and then you had to add them together to get the total, and then you had to find the cost for each person. And then, Carmen realized after people RSVP'd that there were more people coming to the party, so she needed more pizzas, more juice, more pretzels, and more dip. And then because it cost more, she was able to recruit 2 more people to help her share the cost. So then you had to recalculate those amounts, add up the total, and then divide by 6 to get the cost per person. And the question was, is there an easier way to organize this data and do all the computations? And the answer was yes, and that's using a spreadsheet. So we talked about what spreadsheets are. A spreadsheet is just a table, and this table is organized by columns and rows. And where a column intersects a row is called a cell. And in a cell, you can put words, you can put numbers, and you can put formulas. So you name the columns with capital letters. So this green column is called column A. This is column B, column C, and you name the rows with numbers. So that's row 3 in green there, in blue there. In cell A3, this is the box where column A intersects with row 3. So you name, and that's called a cell, you name cells with the column letter first and then the number. What word is in cell A3? The word was oranges. And then you logged into your laptop and opened up Excel, and we started a worksheet. So we first put in cell A1, B1, C1, and D1, we put the categories of the label. So these are going to be the items in column A, the prices in column B, the quantity of them, and the costs in column D. And then in row 2 we put pizza, row 3 oranges, 4 juice bottles, 5 pretzels, 6 carrots, and 7 jars of dips. 7 jars of dip. Next thing you did is you typed the prices of each item in column B. And then in column C, the next thing we did is we put in, I skipped one. Oh, nope. Actually, the next thing we did, one slide got deleted, is we put the quantities in column C. And then we also put these labels. We put the total cost here, the number of people sharing the cost, and the cost per person. So the third thing we did was fill this out. Now where we got these answers was we used a formula. So you tell Excel to multiply by entering a formula. And what we entered in cell D2, so right here in this cell, we did not enter $96. We entered equals B2 times C2. And once we entered that in the cell and we hit enter, it calculated it. And then we dragged that formula, got the skinny addition sign in the corner, clicked and dragged it down, and that applies that formula to all of columns B and C. So we don't have to go and rewrite the formula 5 more times. We just have to drag it down and it copies it into each cell. Then we wanted to tell Excel to add. So in cell D8, we typed equals D2 plus D3 plus D4 plus D5 plus D6 plus D7. And when we hit enter, it calculated $131.44. And then in cell D9, we've just put the number 4 because she was going to share the cost with 4 people. And then in D10, we put the formula equals D8 divided by D9. And when we hit enter, it gave us the price that each of the 4 people had to pay. And now the uh-oh was a really easy fix. All we had to do was change our quantities, and as you put 10 in for pizzas and hit enter, it automatically went from $96 to $120. As you put 11 in, it recalculated and gave you the totals. And then we didn't even need to do anything to cell D8 because it already knows to add those up because that's the formula you put in. And then all we had to do was change the number of people sharing the cost to 6, and automatically the formula is still there in cell D10 to divide, and it automatically changed that amount to $27.83 per person. And then we just brainstormed how a spreadsheet could be useful in business, and you shared a lot of ideas. They were all great. And then you had some homework practice, and I just wanted to remind you that there was a quiz the next class. And